What is something that is normalized in society when in reality is horrific? The lottery and scratch-offs. They're basically state-sponsored gambling addictions that have been shown to target the poor and uneducated, but no one bats an eye at it. I work in a gas station. The amount of money I see people blow on lottery, especially scratch-offs, is astounding. What little money they win from their tickets goes to buying more. We get regulars who come in and play scratch-offs every single day. It makes me want to ask them if they need help because I'm sure they're truly addicted. Filming people dying at accident scenes and the acceptance of watching it as entertainment. Take your curiosity justification and shove it up your fucking asses. A person's last moments aren't fodder for people looking for some shock entertainment. British person here. I'm pretty sure this mainly happens in the US but haven't seen it in many other places. I lived in Brooklyn for 3 years. Saw a guy get shot in the face and neck, and instead of doing anything the entire block just live streamed it on IG while he begged for help. Made me sick to my stomach that people responded that way to a person's last moments that way. Recently saw a chap commit suicide back in London. No one streamed it. People stuck around for the family, spoke to cops, tried to help how they could. I 100% agree with you, but think it's important to share that it's not common everywhere, at least in my experience. Alcoholism and obesity. As a struggling alcoholic, I've been to AA meetings and they basically encourage you to eat your feelings instead of drink them. Heavy alcohol consumption is so normalized that it makes it rough to quit. Videos of parents pranking their young kids where the kids start crying. Bonus: people commenting on these videos calling the kids spoiled brats and praising kids who don't get upset. You know the kids are bottling up their negative emotions, which is a bad thing. Look, I don't like teaching kids to never stand up for themselves. This is a great example of teaching kids to never stand up for themselves. Extramarital affairs, and people actually want to get into them. What's weird is that some people would prefer cheating over an open relationship. People not going to the doctor because they can't afford it. People having to declare bankruptcy because of their medical debt. In most of the world, this is not normalized. Prison rape. It's not only normalized, but seen as hilarious and is often the punchline of a joke. Or just prison in general. It's a shame that Americans would sooner throw the book at somebody and condemn them to a life of poverty and struggle rather than worthwhile rehabilitation. Felons literally cannot rehabilitate themselves without a significant support structure, e.g., you basically come from a good family that has money and connections, which most of them don't. Celebrities getting away with violence and still get to have a successful career. For example, Chris Brown and Mark Wahlberg. It never fails to surprise people when I bring up Mark's past. It feels like most people don't know about his aggressively racist past. He's a scum fuck and I refuse to watch anything with him in it. I also font listen to Chris Brown, but I wouldn't even if he was a good guy. Chris is a shitty dude making shitty music. I can easily just forget about him like society should. Mark also told Kate Moss she's ugly. She was a minor and was forced to pose nude with him, and she was extremely self-conscious and uncomfortable. He then told her she was ugly after he literally saw her naked. Harassing women. Men can be harassed too, of course, but it's just shocking how dealing with it is perceived a normal occurrence in women's lives, no matter what they do. And it's framed as being their fault as well. Cops being allowed to use tear gas when it was banned by the Geneva Convention. It's chemical warfare, when used in combat, but crowd control, when used by cops on civilians. When social media, influencers, openly document their child's entire existence when the child is usually too young to consent. Circumcision on infants. And anyone without their consent, really. Exploitation of the third world. Probably America's education system. It's outdated and failing miserably for a new era. When I heard Americans don't have geography at school, I was shocked. Also the tuitions. No one should be in debt for the rest of their life because they wanted an education. We do have geography at school. It varies from place to place, but I've never heard of a school that does no geography at all. A guy losing everything in divorce court. Men commit suicide from this, but nobody cares. On the other hand, we also have the fact that family court just fucking sucks for everyone. My father spent 10 years and literally hundreds of thousands in court trying to avoid paying my mom's child support and alimony. He is wealthy, and it was only about $120 MO for both. But it was the principle. I work with family courts now, and I'm glad that spousal support is disappearing and child custody is defaulted to 50-50, but most custody agreements are reached long before ever going to court. Submission to authority. Vigilance is really lost on the majority of people these days. Asserting rights is necessary to a free society. Especially currently, public shaming based on pure assumptions and guessing. Same as bullying in any way, both around kids and adults. Socially accepting men can't be raped, but destroying men mentally for being scared of a girl. As soon as we reject one, we become gay or rude. And toxic masculinity. Men can be sensitive too, can be vulnerable too. This is an issue that we will all benefit from the solving of. In my relationship, I'd argue I'm the more sensitive one. I'm a straight man to specify. I've just always felt a lot of emotion. Comparing it to others in my class, I felt different for sure, but as I got older, I met good friends that will get real and talk about serious stuff. It was really nice to finally feel somewhat comfortable with having and showing emotions as a guy. I kinda ended it in my life and feel so much healthier, so I 100% agree with you from personal evidence. Little kids playing football. A kid where I'm from recently had to stop playing football because their son experienced 5 concussions during his junior and senior years. What kind of shitty parent do you have to be to continue to allow anything to happen in your child's life that caused them to have 5 fucking concussions over the course of 2 years? People treat kids like cattle with this shit. Our culture just accepts kids getting hurt in this way, and for some it starts much younger than middle school. I'm grateful my son has no interest in football. Even with equipment, it's dangerous. He plays basketball, but those are risks and more comfortable with. Animal farming. It's the worst treatment of living beings probably in the history of Earth, and it's considered fine, even good. Meanwhile, we fight for even the most superfluous human rights. Humans are truly the corrupt, sociopathic overlords of the planet. Bullying. Constantly being told it will get better. At least they didn't. Random horrible act that they are comparing your experience. Movies and media using it for entertainment. The bullies getting no punishments for harassment and assault. Something that they can be arrested for if it was seen as what it truly is, while the victim gets punished for defending themselves just being there, basically making the bullies win. Excusing outlandish behavior the bullies commit, or outright ignoring it until it vanishes, all this while touting the no-tolerance rules. This is unfortunately normalized to not make a big deal out of a massive problem. Bullying is harassment, it can be assault in some cases and is abuse, end of story. Changing the label doesn't change what the act is, nor should it lessen the severity of it. This is one of many problems everyone has tried to normalize as a part of growing up. For both parties, if a child believes this is okay, how will their life turn out? Correcting the problem early on could change the future for those involved. If not, how long until a former bully in school steps on the wrong toes and upends their lives because they believed it was okay to hurt someone lesser than them? When will the victim finally be able to move forward from the trauma inflicted on them? Will they develop depression or PTSD? Will they be able to trust anyone? Giving hopeful stories of the underdog becoming a hero isn't enough. Saying it stops after high school isn't true. And just saying one side needs to toughen up, not that the people who caused the pain need to stop, isn't okay. And pretending they didn't see it despite standing right there isn't going to change the truth. The first step to fixing a problem is acknowledging that we have one. How much more needs to happen before we get to step 2? That first paragraph hits hard. Kids definitely need to be taught to stand up for themselves. The whole tell a teacher crap is just that crap. It either falls on deaf ears, or the bully gets in trouble and then makes your life even worse in the aftermath. And yet if you do stand up for yourself, you're the one that gets in trouble. Well, you should have said something, now you're gonna get suspended, and thus the cycle continues. Even if the school can't advocate for self-defense, parents absolutely should. If there are any parents reading this, teach your children to stand up for themselves, without guns, obviously, and make it very clear that if they get in trouble with the school for doing so, you have their back. What is something that is normalized in society when in reality is horrific? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.